You're dialed in to the Dealer Playbook podcast, where it's all about winning auto dealer strategies that deliver proven results. And now your hosts, Robert Weissman and Michael Cirillo.
Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Michael Cirillo, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host of the Dealer Playbook, Robert Weissman. How you doing, Robert?
I am excellent, Michael. I'm super excited. Everybody, how you doing?
Good. So, hey, listen, I am super excited about this. I mean, you and I have been tossing this around for, a few weeks now, at least several, trial runs, and we just wanted to make sure that this was, super perfect. And, I'm excited about today's topic because we're just going to really jump into meat and potatoes. We're going to be talking about culture and how we can create an empowering and enlightening and aggressive and a unique culture at the dealership level. But before we get to that, I just wanted to say that I'm super appreciative of everyone who's listening in right now. We've got some great support right out of the get-go. And I got to tell you, just right out of the gates, that, this is something that you want to get dialed into consistently because we are going to be dropping some crazy, crazy information on everyone who listens. So I'm thinking, let's just get right into this. And
let's do it, man.
Just start talking.
Waste.
Yeah, no waste of time.
Let's value
man.
their time, guys. We want to jump right into this and deliver you guys the goods. I mean, we're ready to get up everything we have in this podcast, and we're going to bring on some of the best in the industry and other industries that are going to help skyrocket your dealership or your career within this industry. So, Michael, hit it, man.
Let's go. And you know what? Let me just say, too, that we love the car business. I mean, everybody, Robert goes without an introduction. He's the who's who. This guy made things happen, so it's going to be cool to get your perspective, Robert, on a lot of what we're talking about today. So, getting into the idea of a dealership culture, we were talking about this the other day, and, it's really about the heartbeat. I work with a ton of dealers on a day-to-day basis, and coming from the marketing side of it, from the back end, vendor side, where we sit with dealerships and we talk to them and get to know them, and as we're creating their web presence for them, a typical question that we ask is, what sets you apart from your competition? What makes your dealership unique? And it's maybe a little bit shocking, and for those of you that are listening, might listen to the answer tongue in cheek a little bit, but we get the same answer from every dealership. We've been around for 30 years. We're a family-owned and operated business. We give back to the community, yada, 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 whatever it might be. But that's the essence that we get back from every single dealership that we're working on. So for those of you that are listening, I'm going to just let you in on a little bit of a secret. If that's what every dealership tells me as I work with you on a daily basis, then that's not unique enough. For those of you that are on an auto mile and you've got 20 dealerships next door to you, you got to think of something different. What makes your dealership unique? So today we're going to be talking about ways that you can set yourself apart from the competition, where you can rise up and really stand out. We're going to be talking about things that you can do inside of the dealership that will ultimately create an experience for the consumer that will make them come to you over your competitors.
Exactly. And I mean, that's what this is going to be about is not so developing that unique selling proposition, that USP for targeted towards your consumers. But this is going to be about internally what you can do to create the environment that is organically going to create a better environment for the consumer. And, the first step is, okay, you get on point, you figure out what your culture is, but you got to get everybody from top to bottom, from the head honcho to the bottom of the totem pole. They need to all be on the same page, chasing the same goal. You want to provide your workplace needs to be a place that, your people want to come to. I mean, that's key. I mean, Michael, who wants to go somewhere that they don't want? Like, you wake up and you have to get out of bed and go to a job you hate. So many people do that, but who wants to do that?
And that's really the first step. The first step to driving more consumer traffic into your dealership is to create an atmosphere for the people that work at your dealership to want to be there, because it's going to shine through. It's going to be the difference between being a genuine dealership and being a flattering dealership. And your consumers, the people that are coming to purchase vehicles or products and services from you, can see right through that. You mentioned something that is, I think, absolutely vital, which is that it starts from the top down. The way I see it is whoever is running or steering the ship, they need to have a vision of what they want the culture at the dealership to look like. And that person has to share it with the next in command. And the next in command need to be able to share and expand that vision to whoever comes next to them, and so on and so on and so on.
The message needs to be driven home hard with a hammer and nail.
Exactly.
Get the crew on the same page, which then will lead to the next key component to this is, I guess my goal would be more so like your recruitment, your standards, who you're looking for to represent you. And it just doesn't, and I don't mean just from a sales level, because I mean, that's definitely where most of our focus will be. But I mean, it's everywhere, create that avatar, that ideal employee, and don't settle for anything less.
And you don't settle because you need to protect the vision. Keep that vision in the forefront. That's going to help you shape the idea or the concept of what the individual looks like that you're going to bring into that vision.
Yeah. A body is not better. A body is not better than anybody, and that's kind of, unfortunately, a lot of, what goes on in dealerships across America. I know in dealerships that I've been in, that I've worked in the front line with, that happens. They're so worried about people not getting waited on or whatever, that they just will put somebody that is not qualified, that is not committed, that they're not even there for the long haul.
Exactly.
They'll even tell you that. They're verbal about that. So you have to set your standards and tighten that up.
Well, and I mean, think about it. We're speaking to individuals right now who are joining us who either own the dealership or they have a ton of invested interest in this dealership. I understand what that's like. You understand what it's like to start a business, to run a business, and how much of yourself you have to put into it. So at the very bare bones, this concept of a body is better than anybody, you got to think, how much have I actually put in to make this business flourish, or how much did your family put into it, or whoever? How much did people sacrifice? Keep that in the forefront of your mind when you're shaping the idea of who you're going to recruit to bring that in. I mean, you don't want just anybody. You want somebody who is going to take the ball, who's going to take the vision, who's going to understand the hard work and sacrifice that you put into your business and drive it home, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Professionals. I mean, look for professionals, or look for somebody that you genuinely feel that you can mold into the professional. And the phrase I was looking for was, a body is not better than nobody. That's the mentality that you see, that they think that somebody is better than nobody, which is completely false. And it's the major issue with this industry, and a major issue with why on that whatever list of least trusted professionals, why the auto salesperson was number 2. And that I take a lot of offense to that, because I was so committed and in love with what I've done, that's got to stop. And there's only way that we can stop that is by tightening up who we're looking for, tightening up, hiring, raise the bar, raise the standards, and don't be ashamed to do so. Don't be scared to do so. The people are out there. You just got to get more creative on ways to find them. And then once you get them in there, then we'll go over to the next. I mean, your education process needs to be tight, right? I mean,
yeah, and that was a perfect question. I was about to ask you, once you've found this person, you had mentioned something just a couple of minutes ago where you said that, you can mold this individual. I mean, we're not talking about finding the perfect person unless that person exists. We're talking about, seeing character traits and qualities in an individual that you can use to mold into the individual that you need to carry out the culture of your dealership. So you're talking about education, and I was going to ask you, Now that this individual's been recruited, how do we mold them? And I mean, you're already touching on it with education, but
exactly.
But what sorts of education?
All right. So again, we're discussing some key points, components, factors to create an ambiance and an enjoyable, positive, upbeat, culture within your dealership, a mantra, so to speak. So education just doesn't start with somebody new. All right. And education is not, you are certainly not doing yourself any justice or this individual by throwing them into an office and having them doing OEM product knowledge stuff, which that stuff, I understand you got to do it. You got to get certified. There is some, learning the product is very, very crucial and key, but that's not the extent of what education is. And education needs to happen from the top down to the bottom. Same as everything else. That you have to be, if you're the leader, you have to be willing to learn. You have to show and express and let your team see that you're willing to learn. And that is then going to empower, the underlings, whatever you want to call them, your sales staff, your team, that's going to empower them to do the same thing. So, we don't have to tell you about the list of sales trainers and things out there, but there's tons. So just, get the team on a schedule too, and hold them accountable for doing so. And then practice, drill, and rehearse. We all know that there's downtime in this business, and don't be scared to send them home with assignments and homework and things like that. I mean, there's more opportunity in this industry than I think anybody getting into it today really, has a clue about. So the only way to do that is to learn it, study it, get your master's in it. I mean, that's what I did. I spent more money than I was making on my education because I wanted to, I wanted everything. I wanted to be the best. And some stuff I bought was crap. Some of it was, changed my life. And that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But you'll find that your base, you'll find what's going to work. And then you just practice, drill, and rehearse it. And it needs to be consistent. People need to be held accountable for. You need to hold yourself accountable for it. And it needs to be embraced. I mean, I can't stress that enough.
And I think those are the three power notes of this whole episode. Those things you just touched on. I was going to add to that and I don't think I can because that was so perfect. But
it's not rocket science.
It's not rocket science. I mean? It's a process. And a little bit about what we're talking about today is that things need to start from the top down. So I love that you mentioned that not only does the team need to be accountable for this education, but whoever is running the show needs to be accountable for this information as well. You need to know it. You need to master it. And that's the only way that you're going to be able to get any sort of buy-in from those that work with you.
It's a reward. Education and
you're never going to go wrong. You'll never go wrong with education.
And if they don't embrace it, if you have people that are being negative about it, that they're doing a disservice to the team because they're bringing everybody else down about it. So keep that in mind. The big guy that's the big swinger and he's killing it every month. He's going to think he doesn't need it, this and that. Well, he's not going to be killing it every month for long because I'll take the new guy that's hitting and cracking the books and is in the batting cage day after day after day. My money's on him.
Yeah.
So that's education. Listen, we're not going to spend. We could spend so much time on it, but you get that. So just we'll give contact information at the end, and I'll be happy to forward you lists of the stuff that I swear by.
Okay, so education is a big one, obviously. I was going to ask you, and I'm always so intrigued to get your feedback, Robert, because, I love getting more insight from the front line. Obviously, we're talking to a variety of auto professionals who are working on the back end, and they're also working on the front line. So here's another question I had while we were talking about education. And we had touched on it earlier, which is that the consumer walking through the door, your expected customer, they can quickly catch on to whether or not people, your team, enjoy being at work.
Oh, exactly.
So
exactly.
How do we?
And your team.
sorry, go ahead.
No. And your team, and not only that, but also, I mean, I've been so many places that I hear people out and about, like, you know, in the mix, in the community, talking negative about their place of employment. You know, that just is crazy. And they are doing that about your dealership. If your dealership is not, you know, on the same page, recruiting properly, training properly, and, you know, so another thing.
How do we create I was going to say non-superficial, but really what I'm asking is, how do we create, or how can a dealer principal or a general manager create genuine brand ambassadors or company ambassadors? What
the old saying, the open door policy, encouraging your staff to contribute their ideas, and when you get a good one, put it into action and let them know, great idea. You know what I mean? And let them watch it, let them be involved with it, even if, you know, because that's gonna boost morale.
What would you say
you
the
don't know
biggest
how many times I gave ideas that then in sales meetings, the management meetings, that I was not, you know, there for, and it wasn't, you know, I wasn't involved with, that other people were taking credit for that.
Okay.
I know for a fact, and I guarantee that happens everywhere.
And I mean, what would you say would be the biggest hesitation for somebody to not have an open door policy?
I mean, the biggest hesitation, I mean, maybe just...
Do you think there's a fear factor? Do you think that
there could be the fear factor that you know what I mean, that they're concerned that, you know, the next person to fill their seat, you know, might be on the rise within that organization. Who knows?
Right.
It could be just they weren't trained, or they didn't come up in that type of an environment that encouraged that. And I mean, numerous reasons. I mean, it can be just a personal, like, you know,
Sure.
problem, negative issue that they have with themselves, and
right.
they don't want to you know, synergize with the team and you know, just open up together.
Well, I can tell you,
and some people have a problem, really genuinely have a problem doing that on a personal level, professional level, etc.
I don't mean to keep trying to jump in here and try and cut you off. I just get so passionate about this topic in particular. I mean, you know, working in a startup environment, and working with a team where, you know, you have to be very conscious about who you bring into, because I mean, as a startup here, who you bring close to you will either help advance what you're trying to do, or they're going to really, you know, push you further down. But something that I found works extremely well, something that I'm so passionate about, is that, you know, if you create an open environment where everyone can collaborate, I'll tell you what happens. The first one is, yes, it contributes to the education, which we were talking about, because as you collaborate with your team, you'll find that new ideas and new strategies will you know, surface.
Everybody learns.
Everybody's something
learning,
new.
Yes.
But the other part of it is that, you know, as you're collaborating, what you're really doing is you're validating your team. You are showing them that you matter, that you are an important piece of this puzzle, that
not just a pawn on the chessboard. Not just a
pawn on the chessboard. And you know, I fear that there's too many people out there of influence who have a social responsibility for the team that maybe feel that way. Hey, I got here because of a lot of hard work, and I did what the next guy wasn't willing to do. Well, if that's the case, we need to be able to foster that concept and share it with those that we bring in. This isn't about job security. This is about doing what's best for the dealership. And so I know for speaking from, you know, a personal standpoint here, that the team that I work with, and I mean, you, Robert, can attest to this or not here on this podcast, but I really do value the opinion and the thoughts and the concepts brought to the table by the team, because that shows them that there's something here for them. And so going back to that idea of, you know, your customers can tell if people don't like working at your dealership. People pick up on it. It's like, oh man, what's the vibe here?
The moment they walk
in the door.
moment they walk in.
Versus, a place where everybody's got a smile on their face. And you know what? This is really manifest in a few ways that I've observed. I've walked into so many dealerships. My wife and I just went through the process of purchasing a vehicle, and I can't tell you how many dealerships we went into where we didn't get a hello, where there was nobody to be found. And I can't help but think, what's been falling apart here?
And anywhere you go, anybody can fake a smile. Anybody can fake and be phony that they're loving their job, they love where they're at. But listen, when it's organic, it's only it comes across easier. You're not investing any energy into posing or acting like you're something you're not. And when it's organic, it flows. The consumer's BS radar is through the roof right now, and to them that's BS. So when you put this open door policy in, we'll call it, the morale is going to boost. Everybody is going to feel part of a team, which being part of a team, you can't just say you're a team and that we're a team, and then that makes it a team. You have to function and operate as a team and practice like a team. So you can sit there, and even if that's not what you're doing now, if you're not empowering your people to contribute, then at least fake it and listen to what they have to say, or at least have them give you some input. If it's all crap, who cares? At least they're getting it out there, because there just might be that somebody on your team just might have that nugget, that secret weapon that's going to change everything for your organization.
Here's something that I can tell you for a fact. In the dealership right now, there is power. There is greatness. You see, something that I have found out of myself in the last few years is that greatness resides in everyone. They just need to recognize it. And the people that are closest to you can either help bring out that greatness, or they can push it further down so that it's not recognizable. And in the dealership right now, there are individuals who are a member of your team who are great, and how you treat them and how you enable them and how you listen to them and collaborate with them will enhance their experience working with you side by side, and will cause them to become what they already are, but what they just need to recognize in themselves.
Encourage creativity.
Boom.
Encourage innovation.
Exactly.
And sky is the limit. Okay, so there's your next one. Open door. Embody. Have a sales meeting. Have meetings that's not admin garbage, and make it a collaboration and make it a creative just fest, which is going to go to what I think is the next big thing that's going to increase morale and create an appealing place and an appealing, business where people are going to be beaten down the doors to get to. Who doesn't want to own an operation or work and be a part of a team or operation that there's people lining up to get down with the team? I can guarantee you Frank Myers Automax, Tracy Myers' place does not have a problem getting employees and good people, because the guy creates a Disneyland. He creates a place that people are beating down the door to get into. So you have to show the value to your people. Value them, like genuinely value them, and invest in them. Invest your time in them. Invite them to your home, even for parties, for dinners, and just empower them. Think of their families. Think of the little league games and the things that I know that I've missed, that I felt I had to reintroduce myself to my kids, once a week as their dad. But, think of that. And think of the caliber of people that it could be. Think of how many people that we filter out just because of the reputation of the schedule that we have, that every dealer has. Michael, I always say this on the 4 times we tried to do this episode already. I always bring up the whole, like, the OEMs, especially if you're a new car franchise, a new car store, the OEMs have this weird thing where they don't close out the month on a Saturday. So let's say the actual last day of the month, 31st or whatever, is a Saturday or a Sunday, depending on what state you operate in,
right,
or what country. And then the 2nd or the 3rd even, or the 1st is that Monday, and you still bring your team all in because it's your fiscal or whatever you want to call it last day of the month, and it's stupid. I mean, it is. You're just draining people, and it's like, just because you have to be their managers or whatever, you don't need to drag everybody in there, guys. I mean, think about it. Think about just something as easy as letting somebody off early, or rotating every other Saturday with a few members of your team, depending on the size of your team, to let people off. I mean, that is such an easy task to do, that it will skyrocket morale and everything.
And really, in the grand scheme of things, it's such a small thing. I mean, I remember working retail, and it's like your whole life has to revolve around that job. You ask for time off, or your kid has something like a school play or a soccer game that you want to attend, and you go and request that time off, and the kickback that you get, it's like, what do you mean your life doesn't revolve around this store? But you know what? I mean, talking about this, having a balance and helping your team create a balance for themselves will do so much for morale. It will make people want to work with you. You also mentioned something that I find really interesting, which is to have your team over to your house, let them into your life. I was having a conversation with Rand Fishkin. He's I think he just stepped down as the CEO of Moz, but he was the founder of Moz, a great SEO company. And I asked him that question. I said, hey man, how do you find that balance between being the boss versus, how deep into your life do you let people in? Are you going out for wings with them after work? Are you, going to hang out with them after work? Or is it a very clear, like, no, I'm your boss, I'm not going to get involved with you that way?
That's lame.
Well, what he said back to me was, I've never even considered that. That's never been an issue. There isn't an employee in my company that I'm not involved with some way on a personal level, whether it's, hanging out after work or just, walking to work together or whatever it might be. And I think, that contributes to this whole concept of, wow, I love where I work, because not only is it a team and I feel wanted there, but I feel like I've got some friendships there, and that is one of the easiest ways for you to get buy-in.
I'm not saying have them over every week, okay? Even if you don't want to do that, maybe okay, but let them know their value.
It's natural.
Pat them on the back.
Exactly.
Tell them that they've done a good job. Don't worry about their heads blowing up. Let their heads blow up, because people work better when they're confident and got a little bounce and a little pop and a little bit of cockiness. That's not going to kill anybody. So show them value. Show them that they are valued, rather. Be 100% interested in them and what's going on with their lives. All right, guys, we're not going to, I don't want to keep you here all day. I'm so glad and honored that you're going to give us the time today. So Mike, just recap real quick, just a few things, guys. We're going to go more into most of all this stuff. We just wanted to jump on here, for 20, 30 minutes and just drop some things on that Michael and I have just been kicking back and forth that just really just really don't make sense. That not that it doesn't make sense, because now I've been on the inside, now I'm on the outside looking in. It's just like simple things and small tweaks can have a timeless effect on your brand, your operation, on your bottom line.
That's just it. It's these small things that bring about a massive positive impact on your business. And that's really what we're talking about. We call these small things because guess what? These are things that you can start doing right now. You can sit down and you can say, okay, what is the culture? What is my dealership all about? And I'm going to tell you, if you start writing down, we've been in business for 30 years and contribute to the community, just push that note.
Well, that's a different type. Yeah.
I mean, push the pad off the desk. Yeah. We're talking about, what does my dealership stand for? What makes us truly
internally.
I'm
saying exactly. What's the message for internally for your employees? What do you want them? How do you want everybody that's part of your team that is building this business that's generating your paycheck? How do you want them to feel about it?
Exactly.
So a quick rundown on these to just improve the culture, which will improve everything. That's what it does. What this does is this improves everything. So you want to get everybody on the same page, whatever that page is. Figure out that page, get them all on there. You want to have a firm recruitment description, ideal people you're looking for, and you want to be picky and stubborn when it comes to that. Now, if you meet somebody comes in and they captivate you, get it, take the chance. But recruitment, set the standard, stick to it. Don't settle. A body is not better than nobody.
You let the cream rise to the top.
The cream rise to the top. The open door policy.
Exactly.
Encourage contribution. Encourage creativity. Encourage innovation, because innovation and creativity is really going to be a crucial piece to the puzzle of your industry, of your operation in these years to come. Believe me on that. We will get way more into that moving forward. Make it a priority, all right? And then also just the appeal. Create a positive appeal. Show value in your team. Let them know that they are a team. They are family, and think and show interest in their life. So show interest in, hey, they might need Saturdays off. Hey, just because I never saw my kids' Little League games or didn't see my kids grow up doesn't mean that my team does not have to. Because they work, don't think that they work for you. Go to work for them. You work for them. Your team is your heartbeat.
Boom. That was power.
All right, guys.
There.
Where to find us, Michael? We went a little bit over than we wanted to, guys. Thank you so much, everybody, though, for sticking this out, man. This is gonna be, again, this is our first one, so we're only gonna get better and better and better. But I just hope this information had some kind of value. Michael, give them the rundown on where to.
All right, so check it out. Likewise, I appreciate everybody tuning in. This is gonna be so incredible. We're so happy that you're with us and you're sharing this time with us. Go ahead and subscribe, iTunes, and, of course, leave us your feedback. Also, we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up on thedealerplaybook.com. Leave us your comments, your feedback, your questions. If you've got some topics that you'd love us to talk about and to dig into, leave all of that information there. Again, thedealerplaybook.com. Hit us up, and stay tuned for our upcoming episodes, because we've got some incredible people lined up. That I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too soon, but we've got so many people lined up that are just going to be
subscribe and comment on
iTunes. Subscribe,
Please, guys,
and comment. So thank you. I appreciate you guys being here. Your success starts here, and we'll talk to you next time.
Boom. See you later.